Welcome to my daily review. Today is Monday, January 6th. Uh, and the first day after this Santa rally, which turned out to be kind of a dud. But anyway, that doesn't matter anymore. You can see this is the Nasdaq here. It was up 243 points or 1.24%, closed at 19,865. You can see the volume 32% above average. You can see the volume here lately on the Nasdaq has been pretty heavy. Kind of surprising during holiday trading that it was this heavy. You could see at the end of December, we saw this bout of selling here, which you could see this kind of like waterfall trade into the year end. Um, and that set up some stocks, many stocks in bases. It's amazing what a week or 6 or 8 days of selling will do for our stocks, is that a lot of them are set up in bases. And I had a hard time just coming up with 10 stocks. I could have had 20 or 30 stocks on my ready list today, but I narrowed it down to 10, and I'm kind of kicking myself because there was some that did really well today that I didn't put on there, but neither here nor there. It's okay. I'll put them on tomorrow. Um, Anyway, you can see that Nasdaq's just in a trade range. I've said a long time, many, many years, that this is the toughest time for me to trade. End of December, first couple weeks in January, but the Nasdaq today gapped higher, and the low of the session is above the moving averages, so we'll move to green. But I still believe the market conditions are green, which means we increase exposure. But I still believe, we're kind of in a trade range. Today it hit up against two 20,000 level. And when it got there, it got rejected like Matambo. I'm going to go to a shorter time frame here in a minute to show you that. There it is. It hit 20,007 and then got rejected. Still in the trade range. The good news is the low of the session's above the moving averages. The bad news is it got rejected at 20,000 and kind of finished with a whimper. It started out, your Monday morning gaps higher. That's when the ducks are quacking. You got to feed the ducks or take a bite out of the cookie. You got to trim some of your stuff here. A lot of stocks made highs at the first 30 minutes and then sold off into the close. Kind of what the Nasdaq did here. Gapped higher, ran up to that 20,000 level and then sold off into the close. Nice high volume close though. Overall, a very productive day for the Nasdaq. Up on volume, you're not going to argue with that. But still, like I said, still in that trade range of 20,200 and 19,100. So it's 1,100, point trade range here. But above the moving average is very healthy. And like I said, a lot of stocks got set up in bases due to the pullback here. And then the SPY today, uh, once again, closed at the low near the lows of the session, but above the moving averages here. It closed above the 10 and the 21. You can see those three moving averages are trading really tight now. Those are all within what, geez, 2/10 of each other, 3/10. Wow. So that's tight trading there on the SPY. And then the Dow Jones is the laggard here. Just it was down today. So the Nasdaq's the leader, Dow's the laggard, and SPY's kind of in between. And then of course we got the small caps. The IWM, it was up barely today, but lagging as well. So the Nasdaq is a place to be, which is where I usually do my best trading. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the Batman trade. Did you uh did you feed the ducks today or take a bite out of the cookie this morning while the ducks were quacking? We'll see here in a minute. This is Broadcom. To me, it did nothing today. I mean, it's still flagging here. Well, I shouldn't say it did nothing. It found support at its 10, bounced slightly, not a big. This is nothing to write home about for Broadcom, but it had a big move, right? There's your gap higher. This is when you feed the ducks, right? You take a bite out of the cookie because we can always buy it back later, right? That's if you're a trader. If you're holding this, long term, it's not a big deal. This thing's going to go higher over time as long as they keep delivering those strong earnings reports. So Broadcom, yeah, just flagging there after the big move. There you see the gap higher and the flag there. So very nice, or a pennant pattern, whatever you want to call it. All right. I got to get to Apple because the news today that propelled these semiconductors and the tech stocks And the data storage names was Foxconn reported 15% quarter over quarter growth. So that's not too shabby of a new data point from Foxconn. And of course, Apple, is heavily involved with Foxconn. It was up higher today. And I think a lot of these stocks have the same profile where they ran up in the morning, sold off into the close. So the Monday morning gap's higher that people used it to sell. You could obviously see that it's in the charts. Tesla, same thing. It closed higher, I believe, but it was up, today over 420. Tesla likes 420 for some reason. I don't know. It was up 426 actually. Earlier this morning, when I took a look at it, it was at 428, gapped higher right out of the gate. Yeah, first 5 minutes, 426. Traded down to that 420 level. There you go. And then it was actually negative for a little bit, then rallied into the close. You can see the last few bars there. Some buyers coming into Tesla, but when the market's up, what did I say? The Nasdaq was up one something. You want to see a stock like Tesla up a little more than that, 1.24%. Yeah, your stock should be up 2% or more. So Tesla lagging, it's a laggard. Meta Platforms, this is one that I had on my ready list a while back. It broke out of the base, pulled back to the 50, and then found support. Today it popped like 4%, closed at 630 up after hours. At 638.40 would be an area to get above that. Yeah, I would be interested in, but that's definitely got that 602.95 standard buy point there that it blasted out of today. So if you bought that one or own that one, Meta looks good. And then Microsoft. Microsoft had that announcement. These companies, Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Google, they're all in Amazon. They're in an arms race for energy and power. And you could see these contracts and deals going through for energy like crazy, like almost every day now. And that's going to boost the energy stocks. I'll get there in a minute. But that is not Microsoft. Microsoft there traded above the moving average today, then pulled back. I'm interested to see of the daily range. Pretty big bar there. Yeah, closed 27% of that daily range. 425 to 434. So a $9 range. Not, that's not a couple percent. That's not a big range for Microsoft, but looks better above the moving averages. And then I did mention Amazon. Yeah, these guys are all in an arms race. You can see this one broke out of the base, made a new high at 233, pulled back to the 21 and found support. And now it's blasting higher. You could say it traded above this little downtrending line. See, this is what the pullbacks here in these stocks have done. They've allowed these stocks to set up. And we'd rather buy them lower off moving averages and chase them at new highs. NVIDIA, Jensen Huang is keynote speaker today, 6:30 p.m. Las Vegas time in Sin City. Whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, or maybe not. Yeah, you can listen or view the keynote address at the computer CES show tonight, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. Yeah, on the NVIDIA website, if you want to, I'm sure he's, not going to talk anything about, financials, but I'm sure he's going to talk about AI demand and the future of AI. And this broke above a downtrend line on Friday, closed above its moving averages. I had this on our ready list because it had that old high point there around 141, 140 and a quarter plus 10, whatever. But now gapped higher, couldn't close above 150. It's never closed above 150. It made that high of 152.89 following earnings on the 21st, but it closed at 146. So it's never closed above 150. Let's make that happen tomorrow, NVIDIA. All right. So let's take a look at the daily chart too, because I know there's your run up higher and then kind of, whimpering into the close with a whimper. But we'll see what Jensen has to say tonight. He's not the only the speaker. There's a lot of speakers there at CES the Consumer Electronics Show. All right. I did mention that the semiconductors and these hardware names got a boost from Foxconn, Astera Labs, I've mentioned this. God, you guys probably get sick of me hearing this. It's just the same old thing with this stock. It just pulls back and then blasts higher, pulls back, blast higher. It's just continual. And that's what I said. These weakness is in it, the last couple of sessions in December set us up as it pulled back to the 21 and now it powered higher. I believe it made a new high today. 147.36. Yeah, by 3 cents. Anyway, this stock is institutions want to own this thing. There you go. I can't wait for the new data to come in. Oh, there it is. How about that? 418. It's over 400 now. There you go. There's the data from December. And you can see the these funds are, I haven't looked at this. I need to go through all the stocks now and see who's adding. Fidelity and what do we got? The Lord is reducing, but Algiers adding, Invesco is adding, Columbia was adding, obviously with a move like that and with the volume, yeah, institutions and mutual funds are adding. So it's over 400 funds now. So good for ALAB. See, I'm just doing this ad lib on the fly, folks. ARM, this thing has a double bottom base. You can kind of see it here on the weekly. I think it shows better on the daily chart. There's your cup with handle, and then it was a dud. I had that on the ready list, and it just faded on me. Now it's formed this double bottom base pattern, and it undercut the 50. Now it's rallied back through. This looks pretty darn good. I would not wait for the 156.40, the handle standard buy point. I'd say that when it broke above that downtrend line, what was that Thursday, Friday? Yeah, Monday. That's a nice 3-day effort for ARM. What are the ones that I mentioned? I got Broadcom, NVIDIA, ALAB. No, I'm not going. Anyway, okay. Micron was a big benefactor of the Foxconn report. Nice move there. Got, Matumbo retreatment at 100. It was over 100 when I was looking at it earlier, and now it closed below it, 101.52. And then Dell, AMD and Dell had a partnership today. You expect AMD to really ramp on this, and Dell got rejected at the 200. But, you never know what can happen here. I kind of like this pattern here. I'm seeing the same thing in other stocks like TMDX, where they're forming this bottom pattern here, and they've got this gap to fill right here. That's a long way to the top, as ACDC would say. The low is 141.21, so that's a 17-point gain there if it can fill that gap. I did mention AMD. They had this Ryzen technology with Dell. They announced today this thing. Uh, I'm telling you, I think in 2025, this is going to be one of your bargain stocks here. I know it's just floundering below moving averages, and I like to buy strength, but I like this too. This also has a gap to fill. You can't always buy the same thing. You got to shake up your strategies now and then. 137.40 is the low there, so it's got a gap to fill there. I would imagine it would fill that soon, relatively soon. Anyway, that's it for the, I lied. Taiwan Semi was also a beneficiary of the Foxconn news, and you can see this cup with handle pattern there, 205. I didn't have it on my ready list today. I should have kind of limited them. I put NVIDIA instead. I'm okay with that, but that's a nice move for Taiwan. You can see that definite pattern here. What does it look like on the weekly here? The cup with the abbreviated handle, a nice pop today. And you can see that volume. So that's a move not to be ignored from Taiwan Semi. All right, I'm going to move on to the cybersecurity stocks. I'm going to do some software, get the hardware and the software, easy for me to say. Hardware and the software groups out of the picture here. And this is a CyberArk. I believe it made another new high today. This one's just showing strength, 348.24. Yeah. So definitely nice move, 2%. We'll take it all day long. Fortinet, I had this one on the ready list. It's just having trouble with 100. It got back up there today. 101 got rejected. It needs to power through 101 and close above it with with some volume, and hasn't done it yet, but I wouldn't give up on it. What I like here is it traded tight within the base, above the downtrend line, tight trading within the base, obviously showing the ability to make big moves. So, it just needs to creep above that 101 there. Actually, it needs to power through 101. VRSN, this Buffett's buying more of this, or whoever but working for Buffett now, and it gapped up. It didn't gap up. It moved 2%. If you look at the weekly here on VeriSign, this is a nice stage one base that it's forming here, and actually kind of broke out, I would say. Um, yeah, if you want to get it a little sooner than this, I think the standard buy point here, what is it, 202.74? So yeah, it even broke above that. So VeriSign looks pretty darn good, don't you think? CrowdStrike, another one of these, beasts. This is one of the themes that's not going anywhere. If Buffett's buying it, cybersecurity is not going anywhere. This is going to be a needed necessity in AI going forward. We hear of hacks like almost daily, and CrowdStrike is definitely leader in the endpoint category. I'm going to go to the software names KD once again. Just it pulled back. Well, let's pull back a little bit, Marty. Slow down. Slow down. Okay, it broke out of this base and made this shelf type pattern. Looks like 3 weeks type, but it's not. It's okay. It broke higher, and formed this shelf. And so that really looks like a 3 weeks type, but it formed a shelf, pulled back, or allowed the moving averages to catch up to the 21. It didn't really pull back. It just traded sideways. And then Thursday, Friday, and today just bouncing with volume here up 4%. Kyndryl Holdings, yeah, one of the nice looking software names. AppLovin, this is one that I had on my ready list today. I just like I like AppLovin. I like stocks that move. It's a leader in the group, but it formed this little shelf pattern once again, allowing these moving averages to catch up. It didn't fall by price. It corrected through time, allowed the moving averages to catch up, and is starting to bounce off the 21. I like this above 350. Um, they're going to report here, I don't know, in a month. Earnings season is coming up, so that's going to be, that's what's the when the rubber meets the road, as they say, when companies are going to show off that they're taking market share or that they're slipping and losing market share. Roblox is one that made a new high today. This one looks good, 61.77. I like it. Bounced off the 21. Roblox looks really strong here. Take a look at the weekly. It had this 3 weeks tight pattern. Didn't really go anywhere until today. So a nice 2.5% move for Roblox, making new highs. Shopify. It's another one that I like. I believe I had this one on the ready list. It made this made this 3 weeks tight pattern. Made this high not too long ago. Pulled back and closed, three tight closes, and today popped 4.5%. So if you got that one, good job. I did not, because I was slow to the punch. I was looking at other stuff, but that's a good move there for Shopify. I made that high of 120.72, pulled back, undercut the 21, today popped 4.5%. TOST had kind of like a similar type of action there. It made a new high of 44.12, undercut the 21. This one popped 3.5%. I don't think I put that one on. I chose Shopify instead, but these are the decisions that I have to make. I suppose I could put them all on, but people get confused with all these options. Definitely trading above his downtrending line here. So Toast is another one that I like. Excuse me, Toast. And then I have to show Reddit. People are like, what the hell's the matter with Reddit? Nothing. It made a new high. This is kind of what Reddit does. And then it showed weakness during the session. I mean, it was really ramping in the morning. 187.69. If you fed the ducks while they were quacking, or you took a bite out of the cookie, good for you. If not, no big deal. This thing's going higher. I don't predict. I expect it to hit 200, but you can see this here, 20 minutes out of the box here, 187.69. This is like an air pocket. Boom, right down to 175. So a $12 move in a very short period of time. Then some buyers into the close here. I own Reddit. I'm not too concerned about Reddit. If you look at it technically, it just formed this little box type pattern. as the 21 caught up, pulled back to its 21, found support there. Now it's been up the last 3 days. I mean, what do you expect from a darn stock? I mean, it's getting pretty extended there. It's 4.7% above its 10 EMA. So I'm fine with the action in Reddit. I know some people were alarmed that it, made a new high, then it was, red. I think the green and the red is the psychological thing, it's down $2, big deal. All right. Anyway, that's it for me on Reddit. I'm off my soapbox, so be careful out there. GEV. I got to go to the energy names. Um, GEV, I did put this one on. It ramped at the open. I mean, it was up 5% today, but these energy names, like I say, there's an arms race going on, but these mega cap tech stocks, the the company with the most power wins the race. And these power companies or power providers are benefiting from this CapEx spending. Microsoft said they're going to spend 80 billion in data centers and energy, and they've announced contracts with Constellation. GEV had a government contract and popped today. So, people say, you missed the move. No, you didn't. What if you forgot about GEV when it popped last time, 4% on 829 at 190, whatever, and it ran up to 357. You didn't miss a darn thing. This thing has the ability to run, and it runs like, Forrest Gump. And anyway, you can see the consolidation pattern here, a flat base. Today's the first day it popped out of there, so you're not late. Are you chasing? Do you want to allow the moving averages to catch up? You could nibble a little and now and nibble a little later. You can see the RS line going through the moving average. To me, that's a buy sign. So yeah. GEV is just a monster. VST, this one was extended. This is why I didn't put it on because on Thursday and Friday it made big moves, 8%, 8%. It was 11% above its 10. I have a hard time buying a stock that high above its 10, but it closed 9.7% above its 10 EMA. Still up 1% today, so we'll take that. That's Vistra. Talon, uh, pull back to the 21, now bouncing. Constellation, I mentioned that earlier. With their contract, look at this, these three soldiers marching higher. Nearly a 5% move today. And you can see it's just consolidating in a base. I would not wait for 288.75 though. Not at all. I would say this is kind of actionable right here. The only problem is it really extended from its 10 EMA here. If you're looking to buy that, yeah, 10% above its 10. So I prefer them a little closer. All right. Another stock in the group. I did put this one on because it was a little closer to its moving averages. This is Vertiv is 5%. Still, it undercut the 50, then rallied above it. So I kind of like this break above the downtrend line. That's why I put it on the ready list instead of Vistra. And a nice pop today. Wow. I didn't even look at this, and I own a little bit of this one. Nice move. I got to look at my port this afternoon. Looks like a good day. Let me see. What else do I have here? Oh yeah, OKLO. This is Sam Altman and Peter Thiel does have a little stake in this one. Not a great close. It was up over 31, close at 30. There you go. The ducks are quacking. You feed them, sells off into the close. So we'll see what happens to OKLO in the coming days. I mean, if you're looking longer term, this one looks really good there. It's got that standard buy point at 28.12 blasted out of there with volume. But like I say, it pulled back into the close. You could see the blue dot there, the RS line going through the moving average. To me, that's a buy sign. So OKLO, I don't believe I put that on the ready list. Maybe I did. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me right now. Like I said, I had like 30 something stocks in it and I reduced it to 10. I forget which ones I put on there. But anyway, and then NNE, another energy alternative. This is one of the top performing groups here, and this one's popping 20% today. So yeah, this group is strong with volume. Anyway, I got to move on from the energy names, go to another form of energy. This is the oil and gas names, and I post these a lot on Twitter or X, and nobody responds to these because so I can tell nobody cares about oil and gas, but they're looking pretty good. This thing's set up in a nice base here and popping out. I did not put it on the ready list this week. I put it on last week. I just put one energy name. There's Gulfport. It's kind of flat in this session. I was a little pissed at the way this thing traded today. I hate that. Yeah, gap higher. Everybody sells. Talk about taking a bite of the cookie. The ducks are well fed there. We got fat ducks today with Gulfport. They really got fed. What was the close on that? Like 5% of the daily range? No, 6, 8, 6, pathetic. Anyway, it's been doing this, right? It's got this base, and it tries to move higher than it sells off. It tries to move higher than it sells off. But one of these days, it will pop higher. FTI is another oil and gas name. Looking good here. It broke out, pulled back to the 50, and now popping once again. DXPE is another one. Oil and gas. This one made a new high, then pulled back to the 10 today. Nothing wrong with that. Kodiak Gas Services made a new high, then pulled back, but these oil and gases are looking good. All right, let's go to a couple of retail names. You know, the retail sales data was really strong in December and Christmas, and retail's not really being rewarded. So I'm thinking that when they report earnings, not all of them, but some of them, they're going to really kick ass, and they're going to surprise some people. Williams Sonoma, I mean, this is looking good. Man, I went there a couple times during the holidays. It's just jam-packed. 4% move today for Williams Sonoma. And then Urban Outfitter, this one is being rewarded, making new highs, higher lows, surfing the 10 like Bethany Hamilton. And that one looks good as well. I'll go to one more. Decker's is one of my go-to. Yeah, that one looks good. And then Dick's, I know Dick's had a good Christmas. And just setting up in a base. All right. Moving on to the restaurant, since I'm in retail, CAVA, and I keep mentioning that 110 area that you can't push it below the 110. It's kind of forming a bottom here. Um, couldn't get below 110. I think one day it was down to like, okay, 112. They pushed it down to 112. No, and that was about it, huh? All right, so 112 this time. So nice over 3% move today. Brinker made a new high and then pulled back like a lot of stocks did today. Yeah. And the last one is Bros. I went by Bros today to do a little recon run. Bros was upgraded. Every time I go by there, no matter what time, there's just a line of people there. And the ladies that work there are so nice. Um, yeah, just broke out of this little consolidation Thursday, followed through on Friday, but then closed at the lows. And today looks like it closed in the middle of the daily range. What was it? 33% of the daily range on Thursday, closed near the high of the range, had that hammer candle, followed through the next 2 days. But, you know, you can't expect too much from these stocks. I mean, they're making new highs, right? There you see, ducks are quacking the first half hour. So they fed the ducks into the close. That's fine. Dutch Bros looks good to me. Up by 2.5% on the upgrade today. And the upgrade, I think, was Baird, $70. Anyway, okay, I'm going to move on to the medical group, and TMDX is one that I put on the ready list. I just think this is a nice bottoming pattern here, and it's got a long way to go to close a gap. And so if it closed that gap there at that day, the low of 116.58, I would be a happy camper. Once again, this is, kind of like AMD, they're just making these lows. I don't like buying stocks below their moving averages, but you got to be flexible and try different strategies. So this is working. You see the big volume coming in here. Intuitive Surgical is another one. I'd say the leader in this group. Undercut the 50 and now rallied back above it, up more than 1% today. And then NARI was bought by Stryker, which does those hip replacement, knee replacement. Stryker bought NARI today, and you could see it was up, 30%. After hours, 21%. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. Somebody make another bid, another buyer come in. Stryker, wasn't down on the news. It was just flat with the acquisition. So we'll see what happens there. I'll have more on that in the morning. And then I have to go to the crypto. Crypto is kicking ass today. MicroStrategy, I think that low is probably in. It didn't quite close that gap there. It kind of bugged me because as a technician, I like the gaps to fill, but 279.38 was the high there, and the low on Wednesday was 285, so did not close that gap. Anyway, came down, made that low, and now it's up 3 days in a row, Thursday, Friday, and Monday. Nice, 11 something percent move today. If you want to juice your micro strategy, you could use the 2 times MSTX. This one was up 23.5% today. That's for the adrenaline junkies. Nothing wrong with that. If you're young, go for it. That's how you get the big moves, right? This is Coinbase, obviously undercut the 50, rallied back above. That looks pretty good. And Square, one of these fintech names with um, Bitcoin exposure, broke above its downtrend line. Now, last week, I put this on the red list because it did break above it. Today, it was just flat. Man, I was looking at it earlier, though. It was having a good day, just like everything else, right? Sold off into the close. Okay, that's what happens when you don't pay attention. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up. Except for in the honor of the great Steve Jobs, I do have one more thing, and that is it's pretty obvious that the energy, power, the quant stocks, the drones, anything flying, defensive names are still performing pretty well. Rigetti is one that made a new high today, then pulled back. Just like everything else today. They use the open, to sell, and so it's fine. That's a typical strategy. Anyway, IONQ, this one closed near the high of its day, so it didn't. No ducks here. 87% of its daily range, so nobody's biting the cookies here on IONQ. And then there's Rocket Lab, these aviation things that fly. I think I had this on the ready list. 2810 there. I like it above there. It closed 2880. You can see this nice consolidation pattern breaking out above it with volume here. So that looks pretty good on Rocket Lab, LUNR. Yeah, made a new high today, then pulled back like everything else. ACHR, Archer Aviation. There's a lot of these here. Made a new high, then pulled back. RDW, this one made a new high and pulled back. Yeah. So just keeping an eye on some of these energy names, the aviation names, the drone names, the quant computing. Yeah, a lot of this is going parabolic. So anyway, at mcstockcharts.com, just want to point out that strength, we never give up.